I've mentioned several times on this channel that I am fascinated by the songs of the Beatles. Now, to be even more specific, I'm fascinated with many of the songs that were mainly composed by John Lennon. There's definitely a difference between the songs that Lennon wrote on his own and that McCartney wrote on his own. McCartney tended to write songs in a more conventional manner most of the time, whereas John Lennon often indulged in strange, inscrutable lyrics, songs like I Am the Walrus or Come Together, and he also employed very unusual chord progressions. Now, if you listen to, for example, Penny Lane, and then the flip side, Strawberry Fields Forever, you can clearly hear the difference. The chord progression in Penny Lane is very inventive, but it sounds original and it sounds very natural. However, Strawberry Fields is a different story. I did a video on that particular song where I highlighted a particular chord that gives the song a haunting, uncertain, groping quality. But anyway, the song I want to look at in this video is kind of an obscure Beatles song, if there is such a thing, and it's called I'll Be Back, which has nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Terminator. But this song falls into the category of a song that features an interesting, unusual chord progression. What Lennon does in this song with the chords is something I've never heard in any other song that I can remember. Now, once I've pointed this out, if you can remember a song that does something similar, let me know in the comments because I'd be very interested to hear it. So this song, I'll Be Back, it's the final song on A Hard Day's Night. And of course, as I mentioned, it was written mostly by John Lennon. And interestingly enough, he considered it a reworking of the chords to Del Shannon's 1961 hit, Runaway. Now, the connection is not all that obvious. If you listen to the two songs back to back, you will hear a descending chord sequence in both songs. But Lennon goes in a very different direction. Now, there are some interesting parallels between these two songs, and we'll take a closer look at those. So we're going to switch to the overhead camera so you can watch me play some of the chords, and let's take a look at this very interesting, fascinating, and unorthodox early Beatles song. So this song starts with a very familiar guitar riff, which if you play it on the piano, it sounds like this. So now it sounds like we are firmly in the key of A major. And in fact, if you look at the key signature, you got 3 sharps. But look what happens immediately. It goes from A major, then the melody goes right to A minor. Already we've got something very unorthodox. Normally, an introduction like this would be used to establish the key. A normal songwriter would write something like this. But not John Lennon. He goes straight from A major. See, this song goes back and forth from major to minor and back and forth. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep track. So we start with A major, and all of a sudden we jump to A minor. Now here's the part of the song, this opening chord progression, where it sounds like it was based on the Del Shannon hit Runaway. Now the lead sheet here gives you the chord G, but I prefer to play something more like an A minor 7. And it's a little bit hard to tell exactly what chord is being played on the Beatles recording. And a normal songwriter would stay in A minor, but not Lennon. All of a sudden, we're back in A again. And just when you think, man, that was interesting, it shifts again back to A minor. And then back to A major. So you can see we've already got this very interesting shift back and forth. Major, minor, major, and so on. And what this does, it gives the song this feeling of uncertainty, of longing. It's very hard to describe, but it's also very original. I can't think of any other songs off the top of my head. Now, there may be some out there that go back and forth between major and minor so quickly. Now, when you go back to compare this song to Runaway, you see that descending bass line, descending chord progression. And so Lennon has mentioned that this song was kind of inspired by that song. Now, an interesting thing about Runaway is it also goes to A major in the chorus. But then it stays in A major. It doesn't quickly shift back and forth between A minor and A major. So the chorus is in A major, and then it works its way back to A minor. But Lennon just keeps jumping back and forth. So let's get back to the end of the verse here. And you can see now we have a first ending, and we go into what you could call the middle eight or the bridge. And here's an interesting, unorthodox thing about this song. It actually has two middle sections. A lot of the Beatles songs, they'll have an A section and a B section, and they're very much differentiated, and they're both very catchy. But here we've got this A section that ends on the major chord, and then we end up. So we're now using chords that are definitely part of the A major key. There's our minor chord, that's the minor 6. And then E, D, E. So it sounds like we should stay in A major, but no, we're back in A minor again. And then back to A major. And then we shift again. A minor. Now, we're over here on the second ending. And now we have a second bridge-like kind of thing. It's sort of a shortened middle eight, if you like. And it starts with B minor. And what makes this very memorable to me musically, he's playing this non-harmonic tone, which we haven't really talked a lot about on this channel yet, but E is not part of the B minor chord, so it creates this tension, and then it's resolved in the next measure. And we go to C sharp minor, and then that leads us to F sharp minor, and then B, and then D, and then all of a sudden we're back in A minor again. Keep switching back and forth, back to minor. Now we're using the third ending. We go back to this kind of like the first bridge. Now you can see the indication here to coda. And so we jump down to the coda. We have that 2/4 bar. And then now we're back in minor again. And here comes that opening guitar riff. And then A minor, A major, A minor, and then it repeats and fades. So you have the song fading out as it oscillates between A major an A minor. It gives it a very unsettled, very unique, very original sound. And like I said before, I can't think of another song that ends on a fade out like this, where you're starting on a major chord, going to the minor chord, and then back to the major chord, and then back and forth. Very original, very unorthodox. So you can see that Lennon was writing a song and he was just kind of following the muse, if you like. He wasn't too concerned about perfect structure, perfect symmetry, or even a traditional perfect chord progression. He just did what he thought sounded good. And his instincts were so strong that he came up with this song that in many ways is very unorthodox, very original, but it sounds perfectly natural. At no point in listening to this song do you think, why did he do that? That's weird. You just listen to it and you think, that's interesting. That really catches my ear. This makes me want to hear this song over and over again. So as you can see, I was playing it in a very simple fashion. You can just play the chords. You can use that rhythm and throw this in. And notice where it says G in the lead sheet. I'm actually playing A minor 7 in third inversion. A minor 7, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. I just like the way it sounds. You could play G and it would sound like this. That's perfectly acceptable. So this is a case where you're kind of creating your own arrangement, or I'm kind of creating my own arrangement at this point. I like to play this A minor 7 third inversion chord there. I just like the way it sounds. I have one rule when it comes to playing in this style. If it sounds good, it is good. If it sounds good to you, chances are very good that it's going to sound good to everybody else for whom you play. Anyway, that's just a quick look at what I consider a somewhat obscure Beatles song, if there is such a thing, but one that I find endlessly fascinating. It sounds simple, but yet in some ways it's rather complex. It sounds natural. It sounds like it's exactly as it should be, but in many ways it's very unorthodox in its construction. Well, I hope you found this interesting and helpful. I really enjoy looking at the songs of the Beatles. There's a reason why they are still thought of today. People still listen to their music. At its very basis, they had great songs, some very interesting stuff. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go to my Patreon page. The link is in the description. Also, you can buy me a coffee. And once again, I forgot to bring my coffee with me. But I really appreciate those of you who have bought me some coffees. I do drink coffee pretty much every day, but not afternoon. I can't take the caffeine. Got to switch to decaf in the afternoon. Anyway, you can buy me a coffee. That link is also in the description. Thank you all for your support. For those of you who have subscribed to the channel, have liked the videos, that all helps the channel more than you realize. So, I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.